There's this amazing Sri Lankan theologian by the name of Aloysius Perez, and he said that if you want to understand Asia, or if you want to share the gospel to Asia, there are two givenness of Asia that you should consider. Number one is the religious plurality, and number two is the overwhelming poverty. My name is Joy Pring-Faraz, and I'm from the Philippines, and I studied PhD in transformational development. So in my context in the Philippines, there's one dominant religion, and that is Christianity. So in the Philippines, 90% of the people are Christian. The problem is nominal Christianity, and so Christians who are committed to works of justice and works of compassion are rather harder to find. So you have a population that's who claims to be Christian, and a good portion of our population goes to church every Sunday. But the work of compassion, the work of even sharing the gospel, and the work of thinking through what is Filipino Christianity and what is Filipino theology, very few would do that. So I think that's the challenge of becoming a Christian. How do you not slip into the nominality and really live out what that title means, to be what being a follower of Christ means in a place where there's so much injustice, and again, poverty is just superimposed everywhere. So that's a challenge for me of being a Christian. I think not only for the Philippines but for Asians. Doing graduate study or postgraduate study is a luxury. Most often than not, we don't have the resources to do this. But we have the context, we have the empirical data, but we lack the training, or we need the training and the know-how on how to gather this data from the ground and turn them into studies that will speak to not only policies but also to the very important work of the gospel. Sometimes people do not see the value of it. My dream is that one day churches will have the heart to support their pastors for further studies, for the benefit of not just the congregation, but for the benefit of the Filipino church and the church in general. So to me, that's the hurdle, the economic side, and then the lack of understanding of its value. And because there's no understanding of value, then there's really lack of support also. The ministry that I do really is geared towards helping women in poverty and children who are affected by adverse situations of poverty. And so what I found out is that if you work with women in poor communities, you inevitably affect the children. For me, this is also a ministry of justice, because what I do in the research is I center on their voice. Their voice is prime and focal, and so they get to tell the story. They get to tell about their existence through the research that I help lead. So I think for me that's a huge impact, because I would always think, how can my PhD degree really be beneficial for those in the grassroots? And I find what I found out is that research is a viable tool to do that. So the women and children who are experiencing poverty, they get to share their voice, their story through the research. And of course, always in all these studies, I look at what is happening. I look at the phenomenon of their lived experiences through the lens of the scripture and what the scripture speaks to their situation. In May 2020, I almost gave up on my studies. I was almost done with the coursework. Although the grades are doing fine, I was thinking, could I manage to still study financially, considering my finances, and also morally? I felt so down, like what is my studies for? But also at that time when I was making that decision, a letter from Langham Scholarship, Partnership Scholarship came from Riyad Cassis, who is now the IDP of Langham, and he said, and the letter says, "Congratulations, you have been chosen to be one of the Langham Scholars this year." And my heart just, I was so reassured to continue my PhD journey because of that sponsorship. So it's not really just getting through the financial hurdles of doing graduate study, but also, very importantly, was the moral support that Langham provided for me. So we have a scholar care coordinator in Asia, and we would always meet once a month just for prayer and for fellowship, and that really strengthened me. Morally, emotionally, and even spiritually. So for me, that's what I'm so grateful for Langham. It's not only the help that they provide, the financial help that they provide, but really they journey alongside the scholars so that they can fulfill what God has called them to do. And not just for them, not just for our own good, but really behind us are communities and churches who are blessed with the scholarship.